I'm Philippe Bellady from Grenoble University, and I was asked to chair this second session about disaster and gravel bed rivers. This second session is about integrated management. So, as usual, we have two speakers, Koichi Fujita, who is director of, excuse me, you will complete. Thank you.
How can I make this a full screen? Thank you, Chairman. Mr. Chairman, my name is Koichi Fujita. I'm with NIM, belonging directly to the EMERIC, Ministry of Land Infrastructure and Management. The organization is in charge of handling flood disaster mitigation and protection policy implementation. The title of my talk is here, Gravel Bed River Management, focusing on final sediment behavior. I'm a kind of person somewhere between the management side and research side. So my talk is toward more management aspect of the gravel bed river. First of all, I'd like to show you this striking photo. This was taken by the GSI, Geospatial Information Authority of Japan. Very unfortunately, a week ago, Japan had another galvanizing event where the levee break occurred in the Kin River, which is a tributary of Tone River. And as you may know, Tone River is one of the most important and major river in Japan, flowing through a Kanto plain with Tokyo metropolitan area. And this was taken almost 5 hours after the levee break occurred. And the levee break probably was caused by overtopping. So that is presumably a typical levee break by excessive flood. And the speaker took this photo. This is from the Ishige Big Bridge looking downstream. That is 3 days after the levee break happened. And the levee break point is over there. Yeah. And exaggerated vertically, and I superimposed the image of a cross-section. And today's key phrase is channel capacity. If the channel capacity had been increased more, was that flooding protected or not? That's the question. And probably this kind of question will be or already is being raised. Does a levee break by overtopping and the consequent flood disaster show the limitations of measures to reduce flooding probability by increasing flood flow capacity? Or does it still show that necessity to increase flood flow capacity to raise a safety level against flooding? Of course, it is very important to consider the longitudinal balance very cautiously. But there are two directions. Before answering this question, I would like to show you, emphasize first this characteristics. This is very natural one. That is, the flood probability is highly sensitive to changes in channel capacity. This figure is drawn by one of the simplest analytical method. And even from this kind of very simple calculation, you can easily understand that how sensitive of flood probability to the changes in channel capacity. This, in turn, means that the high effectiveness of channel excavating to reduce the flooding probability. And this is the actual record on Japanese rivers. This vertical axis is it's missing, okay. This is a transition in total channel capacity for all gravel segments directly administered by the emirate. So most of the river in Japan belongs to these rivers. So from 70 through 2010, over the 40 years, 20% increase has been achieved. So this has been through huge, enormous efforts excavating the rivers day by day. So I would say that this should be a huge stock of safety against flooding. And such a stock of safety has been accumulated through long-time efforts. So compare these two figures. For example, 20% is here. So this corresponds to twice or double or even triple of the return period. So that's the great increase of safety level. So, and this is some examples. Cross-sectional changes of Tedo River here. This is a very typical one. And how about the longitudinal profiles? These are the Kiso rivers observed the longitudinal profiles change in mean bed height of Kiso River. So entirely throughout the alluvial ridges, the degradation has occurred, mainly due to the gravel mining and the channel excavation for flood protection projects. So how about the answer to this question, this one? And this is a very natural answer. Yes, now we are facing the impact of a global climate change, and torrential rain frequency looks like being increased and becoming more violently. It is apparent, but at the same time, excavation is very effective to reduce the flooding probability. So both are important. And today in my talk, I would like to emphasize this one is still important. Of course, this should be aligned among the various approaches belonging to the flood risk management. But at the same time, this was very important. And the question is, how can we, particularly Japan, we have a huge stock, so how can we maintain the huge built stock in terms of flood flow capacity? And how far can we rely on increasing flood flow capacity? Or in other words, how far shall we be able to rely on the increasing flood flow capacity? And how can we have a wise command of increasing flood flow capacity? That's the questions I would like to raise through this talk. So prediction and control of post-improvement channel responses is still a core technology at the stage of, even at the stage of comprehensive policy formation. This is the background of my talk. In other expressions, probably this could be more easier to understand. This is flood flow capacity, and this vertical axis say total cost or total environmental impact. So what is the curve like? And is there any threshold like this? And where are we? Here, here. If we are here, there is no margin to increase the flow capacity. What can we adjust this curve? That's the questions I would like to raise here. Before entering the main subject, I would like to say that this paper focuses only on local relation between channel capacity and flood conveyance, not extending a discussion boundary toward longitudinal balance in flooding probability in a river system, because the latter issue is very complicated, so it's beyond today's talk boundary. Then the reason why focusing on the role of sediment finer than gravel, while this GBR is mainly on gravel bed river. First point is the sediment supply and its grain size range. This figure 2 shows the quantity of sediment supplied on the alluvial river for each grain size range investigated based on the dam deposit. And you can see that the gravel ratio is around here. It remains less than around 10% or something. The rest is is finer sediment. Having these basic characteristics in mind, and I made a very rough sediment budget estimate. That is, assuming the sediment recorded in the dam deposit data, all those sediment is supplied from the upstream of each river. So assuming this situation, and at the same time, assuming that all the sediment is deposited within the most upstream segment, that is segment 1G. This is a gravel bed river belonging to alluvial fan zone, or segment 2G. This is also a gravel bed river, but belonging to the natural levee zone. Either of two segments, all the sediment is supplied and remaining within these two segment zone. This is the assumption. And the result was that is the estimation of potential impacts of sediment supply on total channel capacity. And the upper one is on gravel and coastal sediment supply, overall decrease rate of the total channel capacity. That was shown by the previous figure. And the bottom one in the theoretically possible maximum rate of overall decrease in the total catchment, total channel capacity due to sand and finer sediment. First of all, the upper one, that is 0.1% per year. This is very rough estimation. Just for grasping the basic direction of discussions. So this value remains only as much as 0.1% per year. So 100 year bring, say, 10% or something. 10% is big, but probably it can be handled in terms of average and long-term sediment management. Unlike the situation previous professor talked about. But how about this? This is about sand and the finer sediment supply. It reaches as much as more than 1% per year. So it accumulated 100% more than that. So total capacity would be buried by this fine sediment. Of course, this is unrealistic because actual rates are likely to be far below this level because most of sand and finer sediment usually pass through the G sediments. However, this is my standpoint. What if there is any scenarios in which such sand or finer sediment deposition and the resulting substantial channel capacity reduction occur? So we seek for this kind of scenarios. And I would like to introduce two scenarios listed here. Number one is expansion of dense vegetation areas in segment 1G, gravel bed river in alluvial fan zone, which triggered by the formation of top fine sediment layer. This is keyword. And the second scenario is floodplain accretion of fine sediment deposition and resulting channel narrowing in a segment 2G, which belonging to the natural levee zone. I think, as far as I know, these two scenarios deserve attention, particularly for the river administrators. Scenario number 1 is for this segment. Scenario number 2 is this segment. First, number 1 scenario, expansion of dense vegetation areas in segment 1G reach. This is the research area, and here in Nagata Bridge district of the Tamba River, expansion of dense vegetation area had been observed since 74, 84, and 92. So less than 20 years was enough to change the river state completely like this. This is a photo. Yeah, the woodland expansion is caused here. And this is schematic illustration of the processes of rapid expansion that is based on some research activities. And key processes, the formation of top fine sediment layer. The thickness of this layer is as thin as, say, 20 or 30 centimeters at most. So it does not immediately affect the flood flow capacity. But once the gravel is covered with this top fine sediment layer, very thick layer, for vegetation, the state factor changes dramatic. So after the formation of this layer, the very dense vegetation rapidly intrude. So in the whole process, the point was the mechanism why top fine sediment layer was formed. And there are several reasons, but most important one is the appropriate timing of the flood and the thaw egg formation and the pioneer plant intrusion. And the combination of these three factors make it possible that the top fine sediment layer is formed by three floods occurring in these three successive years. So superficially, this is the phenomena on the biology, vegetation growth. But the very thin, but the top fine sediment layer, sediment process is have a main role in transferring the gravel bare bed to very dense vegetation. The scenario number 2 is acquisition of floodplain formation. This is the case for Senda River located in Kyushu Island, the western part of Japan. And this is the original one. And to protect, to reduce the flooding probability, the river manager increased the flood capacity by widening this one. But this is the right after the widening, and then only 10 years, the very remarkable floodplain returned back, and it's continued to grow, and until 2006, almost the floodplain restoration was completed. This flood flow capacity reduction is beyond the allowable level. This is the photo. This one is the newly formed floodplain. This is the human, the people. So you can imagine the height of this floodplain. And the material is, as I emphasized throughout this talk, is much finer than the gravel, ranging from medium sand, fine sand, very fine sand, and fine sand residue or something like that. So there are two scenarios we have to care about in terms of the maintaining the flood flow capacity. And the mechanism was this: the channel cross section. This is original. Forced channel widening was made, and the formation of irregularities was added, and growth of vegetation on the riverbed above the normal water stages could be seen here. And then small floods, several floods brought the small or medium scale floods deposit fine sediment in vegetation areas. Without vegetation, such sediment is too fine, so they just pass through. But with vegetation area, it could be deposited in this zone. And then such process is repeated, and finally, a full size of a floodplain was restored, as you can confirm on photos I showed. So the last part of my talk is having those scenarios in mind. The question I would like to raise is that can we design channel modifications, channel improvement works that are suitable for achieving immediate goals? I mean, increase the flow capacity. That is the immediate goal, of course. And not only for that, but for minimizing the subsequent maintenance work and for restoring ecosystem. All those three should be satisfied simultaneously. Is it possible to make such integrated channel design? If I use this previous figure, probably this is the original one, and can engineering tool change this to this? If the line is this, we can have the margin under which we can increase the flow capacity. I'm running out of time. I would like to take one example. That is for scenario number one, the expansion of vegetation areas. To discuss about this question, I would like to introduce the simulation frame to calculate surface state changes. We developed a very prototype, rough simulation model, where these kind of essential systems can be produced. These are composed of 4 parts. Part 1, this is the original bare gravel bed. And part 2 is the intrusion of pioneer plant communities. Part 3 is top fine sediment layer formation. And the part 4, and this is accompanied by the growth of stable vegetation. And the last one, part 4, is the recover, the flood returning back to the original state due to the washing out the old this grown vegetation cover. Combining these 4 parts simultaneously, we developed the very simple simulation model. This is a prototype model explanation. Lower throwaway side and higher bed side. And the target is this riverbed surface state. And this is a very simple explanation on what is the simulation like. This is the target riverbed. And we add the discharges, annual discharges like that. We can set the arbitrarily. And according to the discharge and the fundamental dimension of the river channel, and using this system and with some parameters, we can calculate the state riverbed surface state change. For example, bare, type 2, sparse vegetation, and dense vegetation. And if we lower the riverbed height by 1 meter, 2 meter, 3 meter, the result is here. For example, we lowered very much, and then the higher riverbed can more easily be affected by the discharge. Then this kind of alteration become very active. That's the key point of the simulation. And this is some sort of engineering tool for engineering judgment, named the diagram for characterizing riverbed with respect to stable vegetation prevalence. This axis is surface state alteration cycle, and this is stable vegetation duration ratio. So, for example, if you change the HS, the height of the higher riverbed, like this and like this, the alteration cycle accordingly change like this and like this. And extracting this part only, this is the figure showing the relation between HS, height of the riverbed, and the surface state alteration cycle. So with the HS of 2 meters, it's a kind of a medium state. But if the HS is increased to 4 meters or even 5 meters, the state is no longer aquatic, but getting completely terrestrial. But if you can lower the HS riverbed height here, the surface state is toward more aquatic. So by lowering the HS, you can probably increase the flood flow capacity. At the same time, you can revive the active alternation between vegetation and riverbed. And that is very good for environmental protection because here, in this side, vegetation indigenous to this gravel bed is has been endangered. So such a restoration of alteration cycle is very good for protecting endangered vegetation species. 5, okay. Furthermore, if you put the spatial variability to the HS, for example, this is the case that where the HS is uniform. So floods bring a very dramatic change of the spatial ratio of stable vegetation area. But if you change such uniform height to the height with the spatial variability, for example, in this case, setting 3 different elevations, such dramatic change has been moderated very much like this. This is also a good aspect for vegetation indigenous to the bare gravel bed. So let me skip, I'm running out of time, but we did conduct the same kind of examination for the scenario number 2. And say, for example, there are 2 cases of, for example, we set the 2 excavation plan. Plan number 1 is no excavation for Middle Island. Case number 2 is the excavation will be done even for the Middle Islands. And what's the difference between 2 excavation case? That's the target that we examined. And this is a kind of an example of a table where the case 1 results and the case 2 result is compared. That comparison is not only for flood flow capacity, erosion control also, and at the same time, environmental functions were also examined. For example, in terms of the area of shallow water, area of deep water areas, vegetation area, and natural riverbank length. So combining and aggregating all those evaluation results, and probably, hopefully, river engineers can make a comprehensive and balanced judgment on which excavation design is better for both flood flow capacity augmentation and environmental function preservation. So these are the last 2 pages are my concluding remarks. Fine sediment is capable of playing a substantial role in geomorphic changes and vegetation growth, which may result in channel capacity reduction to below and all over level. So the behavior of fine sediments should be as well a major target for gravel bed river. And this is the question I raised already. And I think there's a lot of chances. So continual observations and analysis are needed to find novel phenomena that might develop into obstacles to channel maintenance and to record these as working knowledge. And finally, a cycle should be established in such a way that knowledge will be systematically incorporated into the engineering framework, including channel change prediction method in the cycle. Finally, I'd like to make an emphasis that scientific research should pour into the management side or engineering side, and interaction become more actively. I think that we will have a more chance to make a good design in integrated perspectives. Thank you for your attention. That's my talk.
Thank you for this presentation and also for keeping the right time. Next speaker will be Ikono Toko from Indonesia.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Joko Lugono. So I'm sorry my collaborator Adam Pamuji Raharjo is not here. So I think my talk regarding the Lahar flow disaster, maybe the term Lahar is quite new for you. Maybe in fact the case I present is very local in Yogyakarta, of the Universitas Gajah Mada. And then a bit I will introduce you regarding the human activities affecting the activity on the rivers in Merapi Slope. So maybe when you like or you enjoy the modeling in the river, such kind of rivers, maybe you have to think twice how to incorporate with such kind of human activities. And then finally, maybe I would like to a bit introduce the local risk mitigation. And then the introduction, so I'm going to say about the Mount Merapi area itself and also the human activities, and then followed by the practice in the sediment management, especially in the way we countermeasuring the rivers from the risk of the Mount Merapi disasters. And then finally I will try to conclude and encourage for the further research. So in fact, this is the location of Mount Merapi. So I'm very sorry if you don't know about Indonesia, but I'm quite sure that you know Bali very well. So, you know, from the west to the east, maybe about from London until Moscow, maybe too big. So we are here in Takayama, and last few days we were in Tokyo. And this is the big disaster since 2004. As you have heard that starting in the 2004, this is the tsunami Aceh, earthquake in North Sumatra. So casualties reported to be 125,000. This is very huge disaster in that time, and affect a lot the neighboring countries like west coast of Malaysia, and then Thailand, and then even west coast of India. If you try to just look at the Merapi itself, this is only small part of the so many disasters type in Indonesia. So we have the earthquake, we have the landslide, we have the flash flood. Even this one actually is not the natural disaster. This is some people mention this as a human interfere disaster. Then many earthquake in Padang, West Sumatra, and most likely in Java. Yeah. And just recently, maybe some other mountain in East Java, the Raung eruption. So here is the Mount Merapi. So the last eruption was 2010 in October. Again, the location of Mount Merapi, this is the Indonesia, this is the Central Java, just showing you the geography, and this is the affected area of Mount Merapi, I would say. You may see the scale here, this is around 70 to 70 kilometer. So this belongs to the two provinces of the Yogyakarta province as well as the Central Java province. And the river system is just like this, as you see that the rivers at Mount Merapi slopes drains to the west-south side, crossing the very strategic national route, and then to the south to the city of the Yogyakarta, and there also place or lies the runway of the international airport when you visit Yogyakarta. The another one, actually, this is the international cultural heritage of the temple. So it's very, strategic properties. And looking at the common disaster as caused by the volcanic disaster, volcanic activity, I depicted from the Myers et al. That actually at such kind of the activity, it may produce the what we call the pyroclastic disasters. In this part may come in the form of cloud, hot cloud, and then ashfall, yeah. And then also some direct hot lava or pyroclastic flow, creating the hot cloud also. And then the secondary disaster, and this is the one. This is the view of the primary disaster. This is the view of the secondary disaster, which is the lahar. For the additional explanation, lahar actually, in our local term, we familiar with two kind of lahar. The hot lahar means the hot lava, and the cold lahar. So cold lahar actually is just the debris flow. But I'm sorry, please don't ask me to distinguish between the, what you said, the debris flow and hyper concentrated flow. So this question already 10 or 15 years ago, but still I cannot answer very well. So this is the primary and the secondary disaster. And amazingly, you see, since 100 years, this area is free from the lava disaster. Yeah, simply because maybe of the geographical condition, yeah, that there is another mountain, yeah, some place here. Yeah, I will see. Sorry. And most of the lava flow directed to the west side, west-south side, a bit in the north side, most likely in the west, southwest, yeah, little to the south. So yeah, I would say we are lucky because in the city, yeah, there are so many important properties. And the last eruption was this one. This is the longest travel distance of the lava flow, or the hot lahar flow, until the radius of around 16 kilometers actually. So in that time, people were supposed to evacuate at the radius more than 20 kilometers. So it was very chaotic condition at that time. As you may see that this area is 23 kilometers, and I stay here in the 23 kilometer also. So in that time, the situation was very depressing. And then this is the condition in the 2010 eruption. As I told you, that the hot lava most likely occurred in the Kendall River, reached up to 16 kilometers, just 5 kilometers before the temple. And we were also lucky that the runway actually is not affected. I'm sorry, the runway in terms of the lahar flow threat, actually the runway is safe enough. Yeah. But due to the asphalt, the airport was just closed within 1 week or 8 days, actually. So at that time, I remember that some Japanese colleagues, we will have a meeting in Yogyakarta, and some participants were threatened that they cannot return from Yogyakarta, so they have to go by bus. And this is the city situation of Yogyakarta. And looking at the river, let me show you the kind of this river, just several weeks after the eruption. So the check dam is just filled up by the some formation, riverbed formation like this one. Okay, so it's varied a lot from one river to the other river. And then if I try to show you how to identify the size distribution of the sediment, maybe it's rather difficult, but somehow my colleagues, Dr. Adam, trying to identify the characteristic of the sediment, taking into account the size which is larger than 10 centimeter or 100 millimeters. So he introduced the techniques, actually something like that. So just to show you that sometimes if we have to do sampling in the field, so it is very difficult to decide our mind which location we have to focus, because so very variable. So we try to decide with the distance of 50 meter, and then at each point we spread half by half meter, and then we take 5 to 8 liter material, no matter the size, all size. And then sample is taken by using a spade and plastic bucket. You could imagine that maybe we cannot take the stone, the bigger size of the spade size. And then the material and then pour into bed. We split the size, and then the smaller grains, as usual, we use the sieves to analyze the distribution, and then for the bigger one, we use this method. So a kind of just combination between the size and also the, what we call it, the volume, the weight and the volume. So of course we have to convert the volume into the weight. This is the equipment, just to skip it, this is the method. Okay, fine. Just I would like to show you the impact of the damage due to the lahar flow in the several months after the eruption. As you see here, this took place only less than 2 hours. So the pier of the bridge is becoming like this, and some sabu structures, most of the damage of the sabu, the mechanism is just like this. As you see that the structure here is the concrete gravity structure, so stability is just depend on the weight of the structure itself, which is lay on the, not the bedrock actually in that one, but the deposit. And once the high concentrated flow over the check dam, so gradually this will severe experience such kind of local scoring. So when this is hanging or unstable, then this is at the first time then this structure damage. And this is the condition, so this is the key actually. So once this is broken and then followed by the main dam and so on. So finally, all sediment just move away downstream, to fill up the area downstream. And this is once again, this is the primary and the secondary disaster. You see in the primary, even the primary, it was in 2006. Such kind also happens in less than 2 hours, to fill up. This is initially just like a beautiful view here, but now another 2 meters, just buried by sediment. So I want to talk about the limitation. So again, if we try to think about the level of the risk, countermeasure, so it's rather difficult. So I just want to let you know actually the way the government control the countermeasure of the Mount Merapi disaster. We follow the both structural and non-structural approach. The structural, as you may see, the government built the physical construction, but non-structural, we built another one. In some cases, we also touch the community. This is the activity, to allow or to educate the people to aware of the kind of the disaster. But this is based on the past disaster record, and capacity maybe is also limited. So we have to remind that this kind of disasters always has such kind of constraints and limits. So this is the one we have to consider. And this is the human activity. As you see here, this is the sand mining. Is it legal or illegal? I think both. Because they have the license, they have the permit to do the sand mining. But since the government maybe cannot control very well, so some non-licensed sand miners also active. This is the result, because they offer sand mining activity, and as you see here, maybe, so the size of the truck here is very small. This is the river, the bank, more than 40 meters. It can be buried by the lava flow within less than 2 hours. And this is another example of the activity. We try to let the sand miners know regarding the potential risk. So it may be like this. Even without lahar flow, this structure also potential to collapse. And this is the integrated sand mining management. The government proceed that the government consider that the involvement of the community is very important. So communities should take part on the sand mining management by doing such kind of activities. So this is in the village nearby the sand mining location. And let me show you the examples of the damage of the primary and secondary disasters. This is the primary one. This is the both primary and secondary. This is due to the Mount Merapi eruption. This is the lahar, the lahar flow, and this is the both hazard. So both are actually very potential to cause such kind of loss. And this is the way the government gave such kind of the hazard map, that in the red zone, practically people is not allowed. People are not allowed to stay here. And there is the classification. But the lahar flow maybe in this area is not quite so dangerous maybe. That's why some activities or settlement are allowed, provided with sufficient capacity of warning warning system. Once again, this is the alert of the Mount Merapi. Now, as you may see, we have the primary and secondary. For the primary, Yeah. The government already has such kind of system. We have 4 levels. This is the normal condition, and this is the top level, where people should somehow evacuate, practically in the zone 0 and zone green. Yeah. So on these levels, issued every week. So every week is renewed, given by the local government. Yeah. But the top 2 here is not every week, but sometimes depending upon the intensity of the Mount Merapi activity. But again, this is issued by the central government, just to make sure that local central government also responsible with such kind of potential risk. And how about the lahar? Actually, it's not available. Yeah. So this is the last part, the question, what I'm going to ask you to maybe further study on this kind of the system. But firstly, we have to think about why is it important, and then how is the criteria? Is it going to be like this? And the more important thing is the threshold. So I try to follow the guideline issued by the MLIT in 2004. So simply explanation is just like this. After we decide the critical line, which is the function of rainfall intensity and cumulative rainfall, and then we draw the warning level and evacuation level, and then we will check the rainfall condition, something like this. So if this going very rapid, very high to this area, so means this is quite near to the critical line. Yeah. So when we call it the snake line, when the snake line crosses the warning line, so some warning must be issued. Yeah. So something like that. There is some way how to draw the critical line and the warning line and also the evacuation line. But MLIT suggests something like that. But in our case, to apply such kind of method, maybe we have to get a very nice record, historical data record, which is supposed to be at least, in the suggestion issued by MLIT, we have to have the 10-minute rainfall information. This is, in our case, is rather difficult. And then secondly, we have to consider also what happened the previous 40 days. Yeah. So is there such kind of also maybe intensive rainfall? Maybe we have to calculate into the horizontal value. Yeah. So sometimes it's very easy for us, never consider the 40 days before, but just use the series of the rainfall. Yeah. No matter this is the only 1 day or 1 day and a half and so on. So, yeah. And I try to utilize such kind of approach, the MLIT approach, for spatial trial and Gunung Maron station. This is the rainfall station with the record of lahar in such Sabu structure. This is the PUD2, this one, and this is example of the lahar flow. You may see some view here. Yeah. This is after the 2010 eruption, then the first time of the rainy season. And then this is another information of the what we call lahar flow. Mixture of water and also boulders with the size up to more than 20 centimeters. So let's try to look at the rainfall situation. So I consider the 1 hour rainfall. Of course, this is depend on the availability of the data. So finally, my student also trying to show the the most affected area experience from the heavy 1 hour rainfall condition, the short duration rainfall condition. So this is towards the Abet southwest, and this is towards the south. And this is just only the data on the 1976. Yeah, I can collect. Yeah. And then Gunung Maron was actually very ideal and very very good location in terms of to do the such kind of experimental field experiment. But due to the 2010 eruption and due to the 2006 eruption and maybe in the 1994, so always burned down by the lava flow. And as you may see here, this is the result of from 1976 data. So here have the critical line, and then this is the warning line and the evacuation line. So the red spot here, this is the rainfall condition which contribute the lahar flow in PUD2, but the blue spots here is the rainfall characteristic which non-causing the lahar flow. And this is the again the result if we try to trace the snake line. Yeah. So after we develop such kind of warning criteria for especially Putih River from one station, and then we check the snake line for the 29 until 26 data. So this is the condition. Thank you. This is the, yeah. Yeah, actually, this is also 1 hour. I think it's not enough if we get only 1 hour data every 1 hour. Yeah. So this is the 15 o'clock, 16 o'clock, this is 14 o'clock. Yeah, so what we need actually the shorter information that we will know the trend of the line. So this is the snake line of the occurrence rainfall. Yeah, something like that. Okay, this is the final condition. Yeah, until every 1 hour. If we compare with the other rainfall condition, this is the non-causing rainfall. So you can imagine, so what you do after this one. You ask the people to evacuate, but after that, this never crossing the critical line. So that's the, somehow, yeah, we have been discussing many times with the colleagues in the campus that which one is best actually, which one is better. You inform some issue, but never happen, the lahar flow never happen, or you just be very careful, but suddenly lahar flow happen. Which one is best? The first one actually is not even good. Why? Gradually people won't trust us. So you inform us, but lahar flow doesn't take place, something like that. Twice, 3 times, and then finally you try to don't care. So this is also subject of the, yeah, this is the comparison between those two. And yeah, so I try to compare with this kind of criteria with another reference, because, yeah, thank you very much to Daiso and John Laron, yeah, to always encourage me, yeah, please try to compare with other reference. So this is some way I compare with another references. So I would like to develop this instead of IE, yeah, so I develop, this is what IE we have. So I try to convert into the ID, yeah, something like this. Yeah, confirm, I think, I'm quite sure. Yeah, but I ignore this one. So we have to realize this one. Variability, like this morning presentation, the threshold variability is very uncertain. In some way, it's very, inconsistent. Due to such kind of condition, the weathering, the compaction, and some human activities. So the easiness of the deposit to be eroded is also variable from time to time. And then variability due to the prone characteristics of the river itself, because the river has such kind of their own characteristic of the sub basin, probably, and also some deposit characteristics, and so on. So that's why I try to neglect this. So please be reminded that this kind is not quite consistent. So we don't know, what kind of that one. And again, this is the final comparison between the Putih River we study. So this one, the Putih River, and I don't know whether this is comparable, but at least we try to look at the idea. And somehow yesterday, thank you, Dr. Dusida, that during the poster I found some information from Hiroshima landslide in 2004. This is 2004, I think. The Hiroshima landslide. So it's about that location. Okay, so so this is the conclusion. So, well, in some way, Merope maybe contribute disaster to the people, but some way provide valuable natural resources. And okay, this is the question: why is it important? I think this is very important because we are serving mankind. The problem that we face actually is just what is the level of alert and what is the threshold. So I think this needs further, but one more. Yes, sorry. So we just finished our installation with another 50% of this. Initially, last year, just 0.5% of this. But 2 months ago, we expand another 100%, so double. So this is due to the SATREP project with Japanese colleagues, the JICA JST project. So we expect that this coming rainy season, we will have such kind of information. But just the rainfall. Of course, well, we are researchers actually, we expect disasters. But common people, they don't expect the other way around. So always, we are very ambitious to get the data, but actually we are inviting the danger condition. Thank you very much.
Thank you for this very interesting presentation. And I invite both of you to join the board. And we can begin the questions.
Hi, it's John Major from the USGS, and my question is for maybe after 1 year or 2 years, the hydrology and the hydraulics of the landscape change so that more rainfall is required to trigger lahar. So how would you factor that into your warning system?
I hope I answer your question. So firstly, actually, unless we collect sufficient number of data, of course, in the long term, maybe I would say 7 eruptions, maybe we would say something good or reasonable. But based on just 2010, so what struck me most actually, eruption occurred on October 26. And then the first rainy season was January, 23rd of January, I remember. So, and that time, so many lahar flow occurs in the rivers downstream, in the Merapi slope. And then the following years, only maybe 2 or 4 times during the rainy season. Okay. So in that case, so I presume that actually, my presentation, so during the process of the time, so the characteristic of the deposit itself changes from time to time. For example, due to the compaction or consolidation because of the rain, and unfortunately that people also affected the instability of the deposit. Something like using the heavy equipment to take the sediment. This is also another factor. But in terms of hydrological condition, so I'm quite sure after the eruption, we are talking about 130 million meter cubes at one time. So the topographical and then the catchment area, the catchment boundary of the rivers also changes significantly. I'm quite sure. But in that case, I think our critical line will be different, even now. So I'm trying to insist, actually, if once we quite serious or dealing with such kind of the critical line, so I would suggest that better we construct this kind of critical lines yearly. The consequences is you have to install your equipment, that many. In some cases, maybe, frankly speaking, installation is not that difficult. But how to keep the system works. So we have a very big challenge, actually. Maybe because of very simple thing, maybe in the power off, maybe in the communication, maybe also, luckily now it's better, the vandalism. Vandalism means that people trying to take for some purpose, we don't know. But now it's getting much better because we try to ask the local people to take care and to look at the information also. Actually in the information, we are thinking about the snake line, the direction of the snake line of the rainfall. But maybe we have to think twice until the critical line or the warning line is well established. I hope I answered your question.
Colin, please.
Stems from work from the UK Flood Risk Management Research Consortium, and I want to acknowledge the support of my team. So this isn't my own work entirely. And what we've discovered, I think, is some hard evidence of the significance of upland sediment sources and transfer links to downstream flood risk management. And often we talk about that, but it's not always common to have the hard data to show that these links are real. Work by Alex Henshaw showed that intensification of farming in mid-Wales increased coarse sediment yields by 12 times and fine sediment yields by 5 times. This was despite relatively modest impacts on the hydrology. So we often think of changing land use to reduce the water runoff, and that's a fairly modest gain, but changing land use can bring massive reductions in sediment yields. That's really important because work led by Stuart Lane at Durham and undertaken mostly by his PhD student Emma Raven showed that about a year and a half of aggradation produced by those elevated sediment yields in a flood control channel can increase the flooded area by as much as half a century of hydrological impact of climate change. So in terms of sensitivity, the systems are more sensitive to changes in sediment yield than they are to changes in climate change. And I think sometimes that's not fully realized. And that turns out to be really important because Professor Coulthard's work on the Carlisle flood of 2005 showed that aggradation of the flood control channels and streams within the urban area contributed very largely to an increase in both the inundated area and the depth of inundation and the flood damages, because this isn't clean water that comes into your house. It's silt-laden or it has debris with it, which increases the costs and makes recovery more difficult. And of course, it's not just sediment. Work by Dr. Nick Wallerstein in Belfast showed a very strong correlation between the risk of blockage of culverts and other engineering infrastructure and the yields of debris, both natural and anthropogenic, as you can see in the left and right-hand pictures. My particular take on this is this isn't the debris' fault. The culverts are badly designed and undersized. If a bridge can't pass large wood, it's a bad bridge, and the wood is, it has a perfect right to be in that channel. We should redesign the bridge. In a flood foresight project that I helped lead in 2008 that was repeated recently, we showed that there's a major risk here for the future of a clash of cultures between flood risk management and environmental protection. And under a global sustainability future, we predicted that by 2050s, the train wreck, the head-on clash between trying to meet goals for flood defense and trying to meet goals for biodiversity or ecological quality could triple flood risk and could quadruple it by 2080. We have to align our policies because we have multiple functions, but we only have one river. We have to share it, we have to optimize it. So why is this important? Well, it's important because of what happened in 2013-14. We'd been predicting for some time that flood risks would get worse in Britain if we went on under business as usual. And that prediction was horribly and tragically proven in 2013-14. Because we had, just like last week, unprecedented rainfall, but not locally over the whole of the southeast of the UK. The result was the wettest January ever since records began, and catastrophic flooding all over the country. Because this was coupled not only with heavy rainfall, but also with very high winds and storm surges, so combinations of flooding that were extremely damaging and extremely unusual, because we had coastal erosion and coastal flooding, we had river flooding, we had pluvial flooding, and we had something we haven't had for a long time in Britain, groundwater flooding. And this is really, really scary. This coincidence of flooding means that the individual predictions for each type of flood must actually be compounded, because we have a new risk, which is the risk of coincidence and combinations of sequences and clusters of floods. Very, very worrying. Well, what does this mean for real people? It means sustained, long flooding like that happened at the Somerset levels. And that makes people very, very upset and makes politicians extremely nervous. And the point of my picture here is you can't get that much water down your flood control channel no matter how big you build it. It just won't fit, and we have to think of other measures. The reaction of the people was very, very predictable. Stop the flooding, dredge the rivers. And that's exactly what happened because of the massive political imperative to do something immediately. The response to that has been to destabilize the riverbanks, to resilt the rivers, and also to decimate the eel population, an endangered species. So this is what happens if you don't align your ecological management and your flood risk management. You get into real difficulties. And more than that, what flood risk management showed, because even if we don't like eels or we don't think wood belongs in rivers, there's a much, much better reason for doing what you said, which is to bring the ecology and the sediment management and the flood risk management together. We predicted through flood foresight to keep flood risk levels in the UK at 2000 levels to 2080 would cost £52 billion if you did it with engineering alone. That's actually not bad. If you know, post-2008 financial crash, 52 billion, you know, it's a lot of money. But, and this is why the Treasury loves our study, if you use an integrated system of measures, structural, non-structural, improved warnings and improved preparedness, you can achieve the same goal for half the money. So this isn't about loving the environment or being a tree hugger. It's about getting value for money for the people who pay for this stuff. And my closing question then, and already you started to answer it a little bit in your closure, is there potential for working with natural processes in Japan? And where are you on that break curve? I suspect you're at the steep bit, and that continuing to just enlarge the channels as you have done for 40 years may not be suitable for the future, but I would like your opinion.
So may I respond? Okay. Thank you very much. It's very impressive comments. And I think I would like to make 3 points to respond Corinne's very interesting comment. First, in Japan, we have a kind of heritage of excavation. As you may notice, the line of the total channel capacity time transition is the 70s is increased higher, and then the slower. That is because the gravel mining, not due to the channel geomorphic change. That's the very important point. So far, we have been able to keep the excavated huge flood capacity mostly. We are not having a big problem with maintaining the excavated channel. And the main reason was that we have a huge heritage of gravel mining. 70s or even 60s, that was the era of Japan's high economic growth, that we needed a lot of concrete aggregate from the river. That's the era, okay? And my concern is that, yes, we have a huge heritage. And according to the channel improvement plan, we have to increase a little bit more. So are we at the threshold point, or are we having some margin until reaching the threshold? That's the point. And for gravel bed rivers, of course, the abrupt huge sediment supply by the torrential rain, that is very important. We have to manage that. But I think that is a sort of a crisis management or post-rapid recovery thing, something like that. So overall perspective, we don't see a big problem in macro, we don't see a big problem in gravel management. But if this fine sediment somehow forced to be deposited by some mechanisms, in my talks I introduced that the vegetation, that could be a big problem. So my concern is what the margin from the present state to the threshold stage, and how can we extend the margin by the engineering tools, engineering knowledge, and what's the limitation? Then we really need no structural method. That's the basic attitude to your question, okay? And another thing I'd like to make is that structural method and non-structural method, including evacuation, warning, both are of course very important. But efficiency of evacuation or warning is has a limitation as well. That's a very important point. For example, yes, there is an evacuation issued, but not all the people are ready to evacuate in a proper way. That's a big problem. So combination between the structural method and the non-structural method, that's a very key. But I don't think we have reached the best mix of the non-structural and the structural method. So that's what we are seeking for more. That's my point. Yes, that's I'd like to respond to your comment. Anyway, thank you very much.
I'm Yasuhiro Takemon. As a result of the combination of the both methods, I think that this question includes the, are there any possibilities for the management, including the natural processes? Yeah. I think this is very important, not only for the disaster prevention and reduction, but also from the environmental aspects. So please.
Hopefully, we are going to have the method where the win-win situation can be made. For example, I introduced the case of Tama River. In that case, lowering the river bed will lead to the effect in terms of both aspects. I mean, if you lower the river bed, the flood flow capacity will be increased, but at the same time, it leads to the reviving, the alteration between bare gravel surface and vegetation. Alteration become more active. That is probably more like the natural condition. So sometimes we can improve the river channel so that both aspects will be satisfied. But the other cases, we can't. So the important point is how to judge the improvement plan with concern is heading a good win-win station or just the very bad station. That's the important point. And I would like to pursue the win-win station, not just abandon the structural method, but I would like to seek for the both making a win-win station. That's my opinion. And I was pretty impressed with the Netherlands concept called cyclic rejuvenation, you know. That is very interesting because to keep the flood flow capacity and to lower the flooding probability, river engineers need to increase the flow capacity, I mean excavation. But if you excavate it, then probably the sedimentation may occur. So you are forced to do additional work for maintenance. But if change the concept so that this maintenance work may have a function of reviving environmental restoration. I mean, for example, if you excavate the channel, the aquatic habitat may be restored. So if you put these functions, I mean maintaining the channel flood capacity and reviving the ecosystem function together, it's another sort of a win-win situation. So in that sense, I would like to look at the very good hope in the concept of cyclic rejuvenation. And probably we will, hopefully we will have another type of a win-win station concept. That's what we have to seek for. That's my idea.
James?
James Bathurst, Newcastle University, were to pursue this theme and at the risk of boring people with the UK concepts. But the method you presented was obviously concerned with trying to maintain flood capacity within a river. Part of the emphasis in Britain now is on natural flood management, and this is actually the opposite case of holding back the water, particularly in the headwater areas, and almost reducing the flood capacity so that we hold the water back in the upland areas on the smaller floodplains and in the forested areas there, perhaps using special structures that are designed to increase the roughness in order to reduce and attenuate the flood peak further downstream. I wondered if your method could actually be inverted to work the other way around to give the criteria for that would enable us to work out the decrease in flood capacity.
The concept, I think, is very important. And in the research level, a lot of discussion and examination has been made very actively. And in a policy implementation stage, in some areas, retarding basin was constructed to reduce the flow, peak flood discharge. And, but to proceed the concept more, it's pretty sure that we are confronted with the consensus building issues. Residents living in upstream side, for sure, complain about the policy. So in the sense of rationality, that's a very rational sense if we look at the whole risk management. If you look at each village or each people living in upstream riparian area, it's a very too cool policy. So I'd like to seek for both rational but warm policy. How we can reach such policy. That's very too conceptual, so we have to materialize the concept. But anyway, both are important. But the point is very important. And in some areas in Japan, people are making a discussion on that matter very seriously. Thank you very much. There's one thing I'd like to add. After the Great Eastern Earthquake severe disaster, we changed the flood disaster mitigation policy as follows. There is two levels are set, level 1 and level 2. Until the level 1, the hazard must be protected, should be protected by the structural method. But beyond that, between level 2 and level 1, we can no longer protect the people. Not only by structures. So between the level 1 and level 2, no structural method is a must. And there is new law is activated or something like that. So level 1 and level 2, two concept of protection is now becoming enforced in Japan. That's another very important key concept. Thank you.
Thank you. I don't think there is enough time for a non-British question, but anyway, thank you, both of you and the audience.